Hey y'all, we are back. And this is the long. I'm sorry, this is Little River. He wanted to make sure his presence was seen. Yeah, that's our anchor baby. Um, so we're gonna talk about the differences between the U.S. and Jamaica. I had plenty notes. I don't know where those notes are. Sorry, y'all. Hope my background is not loud. River is definitely he wants to be heard. So again, we wanted to share the biggest differences we encountered. It's not all sunshine and beaches. Some things were a genuine culture shock. Uh-oh. Sorry, y'all. Let me pause it. Some things are a genuine culture shock. And even not only in Jamaica, just moving out of the country, period. I've mentioned in other videos, I've lived in different parts of the U.S. The biggest and the most emotional move for me was when I first moved from my hometown to Wisconsin. I was the most emotional. Just leaving a place that you were born and raised in, that can have a big impact. So, but after that, everything was pretty much easy. I moved to Georgia. I lived, New Orleans. And leaving the country was really it wasn't a big deal to me. That first move is the most emotional. But aside from that, just living in different countries, Jamaica being the one that we lived in, and I also hear a lot of the same stories from other people that moved in, like, to Africa. Because originally I wanted to move to Africa. I was looking at Africa, but I was like, well, Jamaica is like a foot in the water, like a toe in the water, because people are not as domesticated there. They're still gardening and depending on herbs and teas. A lot of our lineage comes from that. A lot of Black Americans, believe it or not, that's what we come from. A lot of people may say it's part of spirituality, but a lot of people think it's demonic. It's not. It's dependent on the Most High for your healing, as it says in the Bible. So Jamaica is very Christian, so that's one that I could start with. A lot of people think those countries are full of, like, people that's doing voodoo, just like they thought of New Orleans, which that is completely opposite. When you come down to New Orleans, a lot of these people is not practicing voodoo, not the Black Americans. They don't even like talking about zodiac signs. They're very Christian based and religious here in New Orleans. Jamaica, very. I'm talking about the school systems. They pray every morning. What else they do? My kids is gonna chime in, because y'all kids gotta know too. If y'all thinking about moving abroad with children, they're gonna chime in as well. So the schools, I'm not gonna put her on camera. She don't want to be on camera, because she homeschooled, so she relaxed right now, so she don't want to be on the video. So what did they do in the schools in Jamaica? Like, what was the differences you seen in Jamaica with the schools?
It's more outside.
They do have a lot of outside schools, but New Orleans did too. When I moved here, I seen some of the classes you have to go outside to get to the next class, even in elementary school or primary school. They call it primary in Jamaica, elementary school. Also, the different grades in Jamaica, the schools, I think they go from
When you go to sixth grade, you're in middle school. Which is
sixth grade is middle school, she said. In high school it ends at what, like 10th grade or something like that. Like they actually take what you call it, what is it, electives? Like they may take mechanics, they may take home what you call gardening. They do stuff like that in their high school as well. I love the school because even when my daughter was in 4th grade, she was learning about plants, stuff that I did not know. I mentioned that in some of my videos, but like looking at her homework, I was learning about grass and in the trees and different things they were called that we just don't learn about in our schools, our public schools. We don't learn about that stuff. Maybe some people do in the U.S. We didn't learn about that. Also, they're not quick to suspend you if you fight. They like, you need to defend yourself. You need to learn how to defend yourself. And that, it's pros and cons to that. You know, in the U.S., to me, a lot of kids are they're quick to call the police on a child, but they handle it because a lot of those kids are their teachers and the principal is their auntie, so they're gonna handle it. So they're gonna handle it. Sorry, y'all. All right, y'all, I'm back. But again, like I was saying, the teachers are they're family members. A lot of the community is teaching them. I'm gonna do a lot of pausing, y'all, so I'm sorry. Also, my landlord at the time, he would go up to the school and make sure my kids was all right, because my son is very shy. They were scared, you know. They in a whole nother environment. They don't know nobody. Even when you in the U.S. and you just going to a new school that's in another neighborhood, it's scary. So the landlord had at the time, he was very good with making sure. He would literally stand on the side of the playground just to make sure they was all right. And my daughter had to fight sometimes. My daughter had to really fight, you know, and she done got us to some fights. I know a lot of y'all talk about how when y'all came to the U.S. and you were bullied, and we call y'all African booty scratchers and stuff like that. And that is very true. I would never try to diminish your experience, because kids are mean. Any type of differences that they see, especially if you're sensitive to it, they will try to just really hurt you with it. So she had to fight and stand up for her own. But then after that, they became so close and friends with the other kids. The kids love school in Jamaica. That's something my son mentioned. He said in the Jamaica, they absolutely love school. The kids, that's where they have fun and they learn as well. And they take learning very serious. The U.S., they don't. These kids can't stand it. I'm talking about. It was just in a news article last week. The teachers was about to boycott. They said they're not coming to school. They're not coming back because they're scared of the kids. You know, we just had a girl this morning that the lady this morning, the middle school kids jumped the lady, and I'm proud that the community stepped in as a village and they held the kids accountable. It didn't turn into a hood war, so I am proud of that. But that's the opposite from the differences between the U.S. and Jamaica. The kids actually love to go to school in Jamaica. Back to the Christian. Is there anything else I missed on religion in Jamaica? Like they prayed every morning, and y'all sung like spiritual songs and stuff like that. Sometimes they sing, and I'll speak on that later. What else?
Like the differences, I think it was.
Check the shower.
I think it was every Friday we would go into like certain classrooms, like it was like a color group where we would like sing songs, see which room is the loudest, and then you have like a race day.
Oh yeah, I know, I remember that. But she said that on Fridays they will see who the loudest. I mean, like, did y'all get a gift for that or a treat for that? They just want to see.
Whoever class was the loudest would get a treat.
Now that's something completely different. In the U.S., they want you to be quiet, but I guess that sounds kind of like a what did we used to have in high school? Like at the end of the year, the freshmen and the sophomores, and in the U.S., the 9th through 10th grade, we have freshmen, sophomore, junior, senior. I don't know if they had that in Jamaica or any other country, but that's our high school. 9th through 12th is the high school in the U.S. In Jamaica, I literally...
7th grade is also high school.
Yeah, 7th grade is high school in Jamaica as well. 6th grade, I think, is just by itself.
No, 5th and 6th is middle.
Oh, 5th and 6th is middle, she said. 5th. Are you sure? Josh, was in the 5th, huh?
No, Josh was in the 6th. He was in the middle.
Either way, it's not the same as the U.S. And I don't think they go all the way to 12th grade in Jamaica. Not all the schools. Some are different. You know, you have your Uptown and Kingston and stuff, and international schools. So that's some differences with the schools. What else? And then, like I said, they're not calling the police on no kids. That's just not happening. They gonna handle it. Period. They're gonna handle it. And like I said, my landlord would literally stand next to the field when we first got there just to, make sure everything was all right. And I honestly believe he was calling their parents like, look, these is my tenants. They just moved here, and this is what your kid is doing. So they don't play that. They're taking care of it as a village. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the dog. That was something big I wanted to talk about. That was like the biggest thing to me. And Jamaica, they could not understand when I first got there. The dogs just running loose in packs, like a pack of wolves, and was terrified. I was so terrified. I walked around with a stick. And that's what kind of made me get close to people. And I'm not a person that just like initiates any type of relationship with people. I'm more of a bystander. I'm by myself. But that I was scared, and they was wondering why I was walking with a stick. Like, why is she walking with a stick? Like she need help walking or something. I was terrified of the dogs, and I'm talking about they would be barking, rah, 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 like like they about to attack me, and then they may literally come running towards you. And in Jamaica and in other countries, I've heard of this, like African countries or developing countries, the animals just roam the free. You might see a goat or not too many cows, but you will see some cows. They may be on a leash or something. They not really just running around. But the goats are running around. The dogs are definitely running around. You don't see too many cats, of course, because the dog's going for the cats. But they are out there. The cats are out there. You just got to be a very strong cat. In certain areas, they throw their food out because the dog's they're gonna clean that up. The dog is gonna clean it up. They're gonna be the garbage disposal. Certain areas, no. Certain areas that's higher class, I don't think they do that as much. But that was scary to me. Like in the U.S., you see a dog, we running, and you can literally YouTube or Google video that, and if you see a dog. These dogs here are trained to kill. We do not play that. I'm talking about the strongest of a man. Unless you're just a dog person, you may not. You know how to handle dogs. But most of us are terrified. There in Jamaica, they taught me that you pick up a stone or even act like you picking up a stone or a rock. That's another difference. They call them stones in Jamaica. We call them rocks. But they know what you're talking about if you say rock. But if you act like you're picking up a rock, the dogs will take off. Like, just take off. And I have heard, just to be careful, I have heard in certain areas the dogs are trained to kill if you come into somebody's neighborhood. So don't assume that all the dogs are like that. But it's very common for a dog to run from you very quickly if they think you're about to pick up something and hit them with it. That's one. Another thing. Wait, girl, my notes thing went off. You got anything else? Why? Let me pause. So, and another thing my daughter wanted to add in is, you will see young kids catching a taxi. My kids can taxi around Jamaica, literally. Like, it's not as much crime. Yes, things can happen, very much so. I'm not saying that nothing can happen or nothing happens there, but I would never trust my kids catching a bus here, ever. Taxi in here, Uber in here by themselves at the age that they're at now, between 12 and 15. My son is a small 15, so that just won't happen. I think at the time he was 14, so that's not happening. But you can definitely taxi around Jamaica, far, hours away, and it's not a big deal. They even have a bus that go pretty far. Wait, sorry. Okay, and my daughter just corrected me. She was 10, he was 12 when they were taxiing, and it was no problem. They would go in town, get on another taxi. A lot of the taxis, you get to know your taxis. They'll look out for you. They will. That brings me to another. You got anything else to say? All right, so now that goes to our next difference is transportation. And this video is for Americans and Jamaicans. If you've never been in the U.S., this is the difference between how you live in Jamaica, and if you're thinking about moving abroad to Jamaica or even a developing country, it's pretty similar. So next is transportation. Transportation is very easy to take. It's almost like hitchhiking. It really is. That's the easiest way for me to explain it. You kind of stand outside. It's not a bus stop sign that's sitting there. You stand outside on the side of the street that you want to catch a taxi on, and they'll stop for you. You don't even really have to tell them where they're going. You're supposed to know where they're going. I mean, where you're going. You just have to tell them when you get to your stop, okay? Or just get out and pay them and get out or whatever. Or pay them before you get out. At first, I was terrified, extremely terrified. But then when I learned the system, it's very easy. It ain't, you don't have to have an app. You don't have to see what the bus schedule is and stand by the bus stop. You know, because it's one main road. It's one main road in Jamaica. Like I was saying, it's one main road in Jamaica. So it's not like you got to figure out where you're getting off at. So that's the easy thing. But my daughter also mentioned too the view. When we in a taxi, it is so beautiful. And majority of the island, you got mountain views, you got the sea, um, the trees, the bushes. I'm talking about herbs just everywhere. Fever grass, which is called lemongrass in Jamaica. It's called. I'm sorry. It's lemongrass in the U.S. It's fever grass. So in the U.S. we call it lemongrass. In Jamaica they call it fever grass. And they still may know what you're talking about when you go there. Um, it's everywhere. It's and you know. So if you don't know what lemongrass is, it is a most people that's into herbs know. But I never know that you could drink it as a tea, and it is so good. I don't know all the healing properties from it, but it is a very good tea. I know I've heard that they call it fever grass because it helps with fever. So that's everywhere. This stuff is that you see just everywhere in soursop bushes and all type of stuff. It's just a beautiful view when you're traveling. And that brings me to another point. When I used to wake up in Jamaica, I wake up and I hear birds. I hear the goats. You do hear dogs too. That's another one. When you go to bed at night, it's like the dogs is just barking, barking, barking in packs. So it's like at first you like I can't sleep, but then you get used to it. And then I also heard that when they like howling, they say somebody's dying or death is near. Um, Jamaicans don't realize that is so close to spirituality. That little bit of stuff, the herbs and teas, that's part of the spirituality. There's nothing demonic about that. That's you could still be a Christian or whatever, like Jamaicans. If you're from the U.S., that's nothing demonic about that. They do that in other countries and they're still religious. So them believing in certain moon cycles, they say to pick your herbs in the morning, before the sun comes up. I don't know exactly, but it's different times that you pick your herbs. It's different ways that you may even put your teas together once boiling your teas for different ailments. It's different time that you cut a tree down because the ants may be all in the trees. This is not demonic stuff. They going by moon cycles that was actually stolen from us. But that's another topic for another day. Um, all right, and speaking of nature, another thing that I hate now. At first, I used to be. One thing. Americans are very domesticated. We don't understand nature and respect nature. In my opinion, that's what I've learned from living in Jamaica. Um, when you have to use a restroom, nature calls. You cannot stop it. So it is not a normal day to be driving down the road and not see a man using the bathroom on the side of the road. Now he don't have everything just showing, but he's turned around towards the bush. You know what he's doing. No big deal. He has to use the bathroom in the middle of his drive or whatever. So in the U.S., you would get a ticket for that. If you're from Jamaica or somewhere else and you come to the U.S. and you use the bathroom, you may, I'm not 100% in which states, but they may give you a ticket for like a sexual predator, indecent exposure. It's serious here. And I hated it when I came back because I was like, I had to use the bathroom. I was doing my Amazon deliveries, and nobody's restroom was open, or somebody was in every restroom, and I had to go. Women, you're not gonna see too much in Jamaica just on the side of the road. We're more discreet. Women are more discreet. They may go somewhere and duck off and use the bathroom, but it's common. It's not a big deal. Like it's not a big deal. You have to use the bathroom. But I couldn't find nowhere to use the restroom when I came back to the U.S. and I would just I almost had a breakdown because it was like, I just want to go in the back of the building and use the bathroom. And they're like, no, they'll lock you up. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, you rather me use the bathroom on myself? And I had experience one time in a store. I was putting on my groceries on a belt, and I turned around and looked, and the cashier was gone. And I'm like, where did the cashier go? They said she had the pee-pee. And I'm like, pee-pee? Yes, just like that. She had the pee-pee. So I'm like, okay. And they looking at me like, what's the problem? You're going to get rung up. It's no big deal. And that's why I believe they feel like we are so uptight. Because somebody else probably would have went off like, how's she just going to walk away? She could have said something. She don't owe you nothing. She had to use the bathroom. You just need to respect nature and understand that you're going to get rung up. It's not a big deal. So I learned a lot of patience in Jamaica. And people will cut you as well. They will jump in front of you in line. That can happen in the U.S. as well. But it's very common in the grocery stores here. Or they may put their stuff down on the belt and then still be shopping. Like, you get in line and you see some stuff sitting up there. You don't know, because a lot of those registers are full of stuff anyway. And somebody come back and get in front of you, they stuff been sitting there. Or say if you at an ATM and you think you next in line, and then somebody come jump out their car. Well, they feel like that was their spot. They just went and sat in the car. But sometimes they just kind of feel like they can just kind of jump in front of you. Like, well, hey, I'm just getting this. Can you, But, you speak up for yourself regardless. You definitely don't want to not speak up for yourself, because as a black person, that's just what we do. And that's all around the globe. But we don't need to make a big fuss about a certain thing. And a lot of Americans, like I said, we are extremely domesticated, so we don't understand nature almost. And I was explaining that to another family member, how my grocery store incident, or supermarket as they call it in Jamaica. A lot of them are called supermarkets. They said, well, that's just rude. They may not speak to you when you walk in the store because they busy. So they feel like, what I need to stop and speak to you for? But in the U.S., we're trained to acknowledge everybody as they come in. So you can look at it as you want to. I mean, however you want. But that's what gets us called kind of rude in other countries. That's what they don't like about us, in other countries. And some Jamaicans not like that. So everything I'm saying, take it with a grain of salt, because certain areas are not like that. Kingston and Mobay or Montego Bay, they may be mostly towards how America is, the U.S., because they cater towards tourists a lot. So what else? Because I had just thought of another point while I was thinking of the stores. Oh, the stores. A lot of the supermarkets in the smaller towns, like in Portland, the non-big tourist areas, they don't have a lot of grocery stores. They have a few, but their supermarkets are like as big as a corner store in some of the neighborhoods. Just say it. So, yeah, I was gonna say that anyway. The smell. She wanted to say the smell. A lot of times when you go in the stores, it smells like dead meat. It smells like raw meat, and it's because it's fresh. They literally just chop this cow up, or just chop this chicken up. It's fresh. It may have never been frozen. A lot of Jamaicans, and I don't know all, but like where I was staying in Portland, they cook stuff by the day. If they go fishing, they frying that fish right then and there. So they don't consider that frozen stuff the good stuff. That's just stuff we're used to doing that in the U.S. And like I said, certain people, they may do it. I'm just speaking of my experience. But a lot of their stuff is very fresh. So when you go into a lot of those supermarkets, it does not smell the best. It smells like blood or something like that. So that's the thing. And when I first got to Jamaica, I was scared to even go in the store and order food. I was scared to go in the store and buy stuff. I was terrified. And I'm not even a person that's scared like that. Like, I'm pretty independent. So that should tell you a lot if you're thinking about moving abroad. Definitely have some type of ally. Because I had somebody when I first got there. They seen me scared of the dogs. And he kind of took me under his wings. And I had spoke about him before. May his soul rest in peace. Had I not met him, I probably would have never moved to Jamaica. That wasn't even a plan to move to Jamaica, honestly. It was just like, let me go and see how it is there because of the cost of living. And that's another thing. I spoke about this and speak about this a lot. The cost of living is cheaper, but we have to be extremely mindful that we're not gentrifying people's area. When I first moved there, it was Airbnb. I Airbnb'd around just to kind of get a feel for the areas and stuff. And I decided to move somewhere where the rent was the same as the locals, because if I felt like if I offer something higher, and then other people come in from the U.S. and offer something higher, even though it's cheaper in the U.S., now the locals can't afford it. Now the locals cannot afford this area. And it may be good for the landlord, but only temporarily, because now you may have people moving out, the locals, and your whole culture is gone. You have nothing but foreigners in this area. So you got to be mindful of that. You don't want to gentrify an area. You just don't. And moving around is nothing wrong with that. Airbnb, start that first if you have to, just so you can get a feel of the area. I will say the first area I stayed in, I felt like a mark, and that's another point I'm about to get to, and that's the foreign fees that I spoke about before. Your accent will get you charged a higher price, and that's honest to God truth in a lot of countries. It's sad when you first realize it, that people have been ripping you off because you have an accent. But a lot of these countries they make their money off of tourists anyway. I still see it as being sad. They don't care about your patronage like we do here. In the U.S., we'd be kind of happy that you shopped with us. They don't care if you ever come back. We like our returning customers in the U.S. They don't care if you ever come back. They may know that you staying here for a while. They still may rip you off. But they may rip the next Jamaican off as well. So, but as long as the more they see you there, the more they're not going to rip you off for the basic things, because they know you know the prices. It may be the extraordinary things they may try to rip you off. And like I said, they will do that to the next Jamaican. So in the U.S., they don't do that. Everything has a price that's listed. They're not going to tell. It's actually illegal to do that in the U.S., to tell one person a price and then another person a different price. If you're selling at a store, you're an actual establishment, a registered business, you cannot do that. You cannot discriminate because somebody's accent is different. And it's hurtful, because just to let the Jamaicans know, when we come to Jamaica, we want to see black people. We have literally been around white people and a bunch of different people our whole life, and maybe not in our inner cities or schools, but we still see them even in the schools. We want to get away from that. We want to just go somewhere where we're the majority, and we realize that our accent has still made us a minority. And I said it in another video, we will always be a minority wherever we go. That's just Americans, black Americans. We are the minority. He said, open the door. He wanted that door open. So again, black Americans, somebody misunderstood what I said. And I'm not speaking of all black people, because black people are the majority all over the world. If you want to globally, black people are really high in the numbers. We're like the majority. But black Americans, we're the minorities everywhere we go, even in the U.S. So your accent will get you charged higher fees. When you go to these places, you kind of have to adjust. You have to adjust. Once they see that you are a good-hearted person, most of the community is going to stand up for you. That's just how we are. But if they see that you got your nose stuck in the air and you act like you got it all, you got it like that, they're going to keep ripping you off. So don't be surprised. You just really have to humble yourself. And that's something I had to learn. When I first went to Jamaica, I was staying in Portland. I love Portland. It's beautiful. It's the most untouched part of the island. But I felt like if the guy that was helping me, like I said, may his soul rest in peace, if he hadn't showed me the ropes, if he hadn't stood up for me, like the taxi, I was paying $25 for a taxi one way. When I found out they was only paying like $2 or less than $1 to go miles and miles away, I mean, like literally that's how much you get ripped off. But you would think in the U.S., well, I would be paying more than this in an Uber. You really would. It would be more than what you're paying in an Uber. But when you got to go to town every day, it gets pricey. If you just living on savings, you can start drying up real quick. So if you let them know that I'm trying to move here, I'm trying to be part, and you're humble, and you come, like you're not just here to take their land, or you're not just here to gentrify their area, or you're not better than them. You walk around pitying them, they gonna take advantage of you. You want to pity me, I'm gonna take what you got. Don't walk around like you trying to pity the people. And I had to learn that when I moved to the other area that I was living in. I guess I was really, adjusting well, because when I moved to St. Mary, I didn't get that. People were so giving. My landlord, and not saying that they wasn't in Portland, but I was fresh. I was like just too fresh in Portland. And they said that's the nicest part of the island. So just imagine, God was with me. The Most High was definitely by my side. So I moved to St. Mary, and I knew the prices, and I would test people, just to see what I'm dealing with. And people were so helpful. It's been times where, and this is crazy, a man would try to rip you off and get your number. Like, what? And when I moved to St. Mary, I remember a guy, he was helping me out, and I was like, let me give him something, because I'm thinking, they all want something for something. And that attitude is bad too. Don't be like that, because some people are very genuine. That man said, I don't want nothing from you. I just want to help you, And of course he did want my number, but most of the time they want your number and they want your money. So that is what I had to go through. That's what you may have to go through in Jamaica, because those men, they be definitely after the women, and they know a woman in Jamaica. They know nature. They close to nature. They know the weaknesses of a woman, and they can use that against you. That's a pro and a con, because they can use that against you. They really know women there. Like here in the U.S., the men don't really know. It seems like we disconnected for some reason. That's not all of them, but it just seems like they don't understand the smallest things. Like in Jamaica, the men there will cook for you. They will be cleaning up wherever you lacking. They gonna jump in and do it. And that's why I think a lot of people love Jamaican men, or even African men, because it just seems like that's the natural rhythm of things. It's not even about your role as a woman or role as a man. And they will try to, make money too. Of course, some will try to rip you off. Like I said, they try to be a man and they be ripping you off. Like, it can really be that way. So you cannot just pity no people, because you gotta, don't underestimate these men. So, and some of them do need help, but you have to test people. Just like they testing you, they testing how genuine you are. They're trying to see if you uppity. You test them. See if they using you for financially, or see if these people really like you, because the whole family could use you. I'm talking about the whole family could be using you, child. Like, everybody in the family could be really using you. And I walked around like a poor foreigner. I'd rather be a poor foreigner, or what they call it, broke foreigner. I'd rather had been looked at like that than somebody trying to use me, or I'm thinking they trying to get what I want. And of course, I got a green card too if they trying to get to the U.S. So, and I'm a different face, because a lot of the time these people see the same faces all day, every day, or some may be family members. So, that's the reason why a lot of people will be attracted to you, the men. And the one thing I didn't like about Jamaica, I didn't find a lot of female friends. In Jamaica, I did find a few, so I am grateful for, and I love them to death. One of them is actually here in the U.S. I was sad when she moved, but I had moved out of the area anyway. But she moved to the U.S. But I made way more male friends than female friends, and I just wanted to connect more to the women. But I know we be so busy, we have our life going on, and the men be, they got their own agenda going on. So, but and some of them wasn't. Some of them, oh no, your phone went dead. I'm gonna have to pause the video, y'all.